Where the Wild Things Are. Story and pictures by Maurice Sendax. The night Max wore his wolf suit and made mischief of one kind and another. His mother called him Wild Thing, and Max said, "I'll eat you up." So he was sent to bed without eating anything. That very night, in Max's room, a forest grew and grew and grew until his ceiling hung with vines and the walls became the world all around. And an ocean tumbled by with a private boat for Max, and he sailed off through night and day, and in and out of weeks, and almost over a year, to where the wild things are. And he came to a place where the wild things are, and they roared their terrible roars, and gashed their terrible teeth, and rolled their terrible eyes, and showed their terrible claws. Till Max said, "Be still," and tamed them with a magic trick of staring into their yellow eyes without blinking once. And they were frightened and called him the most wild thing of all, and made him king of all wild things. "And now," cried Max, "let the wild rumpus start." "Now stop," Max said, and sent the wild things off to bed without their supper. And Max, the king of all wild things, was lonely and wanted to be where someone loved him best of all. And then, from all across the world, he smelled good things to eat. So he gave up being king of where the wild things are. But the wild things cried, "Oh, please don't go. We'll eat you up. We love you so." And Max said, "No." And the wild things roared their terrible roars, and gashed their terrible teeth, and rolled their terrible eyes, and showed their terrible claws. But Max stepped into his private boat and waved goodbye, and sailed back over a year, and in and out of weeks, and through a day, and into the night of his very own room, where he found his supper waiting for him, and it was still hot. In the beginning of the book, Max gets in trouble and is sent to his room without his supper. Have you ever done something to where you got in trouble and your parents had to discipline you, but later you realized it was only because they loved you and were trying to keep you safe? Of course, all of us have done some things when we're learning and growing and learning which behavior is appropriate and not appropriate. So you probably have done some things that your parents had to get on to you about. But it's because they do love us and because they're trying to keep us safe. So thanks for sharing. Next, I wanted to ask you, in the book, there's all kinds of different wild things. Of all the different monsters, did you think they were more scary or more funny? I think right here, this is perhaps one of my favorite little monsters, is the little one that looks kind of like a goat on top of this one. And what I love about the monsters is that the fact there are some elements of them that is kind of scary, but for the most part, they're also kind of fun and humorous looking and kind of made up of all kinds of different creatures. So that's why I really love the wild things in this book. And I think my favorite one is the little goat on top of this one. Now, the last question I want to ask you was, out of the book, what was your favorite part? My favorite part was at the very end of his adventure when he had gone off to have his adventure and he thought he wanted to get away from home. He realized he really did miss his home and he loved his parents very much and that he really did have a good life and that he missed home and so he wanted to go back. And he actually realized at the end too that his mom had kept his supper warm for him, and so that she really cared about him. So all those times when our parents get on to us, it's really just their way of letting us know that they care about us and that they're trying to keep us safe. And that's what I love about this book, is it just reminds us of how much our families love us, and that when as we're growing, there may be times when we fight a little bit with our parents, but in the long run, our parents keep us safe and they love us, and that's a really good reminder. So that's one of the great things about this book. I hope you enjoyed it.